So you've decided you want to spend some serious time in Mexico? Maybe you want to move here for good, or maybe you want to stay 6 months, maybe a year. Either way, at some point, you're going to need to think about a residency visa, your legal status, because a tourist visa only gets you 180 days, sometimes not that. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly what Mexican residency looks like, the two types, the requirements, the process, and the common mistakes that people make. Team, I'm Greg Gunter. We're going to have a tabletop conversation this morning, right? When we have serious conversations, we have them around the tabletop. I'm Greg Gunter with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, your dream pro here in San Miguel de Allende. Now, I'm not an immigration expediter, and for the actual application process, you absolutely want to hire one. But I've watched hundreds of my clients go through this. I know what the experience looks like from the inside. I've done it myself, and I want to give you a clear picture before you walk into a consulate. Let's get into it. Okay, team, let's talk about the difference between a tourist visa and residency. Now, when you enter Mexico as an American, you automatically get a tourist visa, technically called an FMM, which allows you to stay up to 180 days. That's 6 months, and historically, many Americans used it for extended stays without ever needing residency. But here's the new challenge. Immigration officials have recently been told that they have full flexibility to limit the tourist visa stay to as few days as the immigration official wants. I've had resident clients tell me they were only given 2 weeks when they flew in, even though they planned to stay the full 6 months. That's why it's better to get a residency visa sooner than later. So, if you want the ability to stay as long as you want in Mexico, or if you want to open a Mexican bank account more easily, you want to drive a U.S. plated car legally for more than the 6 months, if you're planning to eventually work or own a business in Mexico, then you definitely need residency. Here are the two types. So there's Temporal residency and Permanente residency. Even if your Spanish is not that great, I bet you can tell the difference. Temporal residente is the starting point for most expats. It's valid for 1 year and renewable up to 3 times beyond that. So you can hold it for up to 4 years in total. Now, to qualify, you need to demonstrate sufficient income or savings. The income threshold changes periodically, but as of 2026, you generally need to show 6 months of monthly income of approximately $4,432 or more. You just need to show a monthly deposit to your bank account that meets this minimum. Alternatively, now you can qualify through a savings amount. Again, 6 months of bank statements that show a minimum balance of $75,000 in the bank in your savings. A qualification threshold is investing in real estate. Each person must invest in 2026 exchange rates a minimum of about $615,000 in a home to qualify. It'll be double that if both spouses are on the deed. Now, here's the process. You need to apply at a Mexican consulate in the U.S. before you arrive in Mexico. They'll give you a visa, you enter Mexico, and then within 30 days, you go to the local immigration office. Here it's called the INM, and you'll use that visa that they've given you in the States to exchange for your temporary residency card here in San Miguel de Allende. Now, the Permanente Residente, the permanent residence visa, gives you the right to live in Mexico indefinitely. No annual renewals. That's what I have. I'm here for good. Now, to qualify directly, you need higher income or savings thresholds. That is about $7,400 of monthly income or a savings of almost $300,000. But remember, a husband or wife can sponsor their spouse, and the threshold is substantially lower for the spouse. Now, alternatively, after holding the temporal residency for 4 consecutive years, you automatically qualify to apply for Permanente. There's also a fast track. If you're 65 or older, you may qualify directly for Permanente based on pension income alone, which requires a lower amount of income or savings. Many of my older clients go this route. Note that Permanente does not come with the right to work for a Mexican employer, but it covers almost everything else. Now, team, I'll talk about the step-by-step application process here, but as a resident myself who has been through the process, let me spare you some major brain damage. Do not attempt any of the residency visa application process without an expediter. In my opinion, you absolutely need a bilingual expediter to assist you through the entire process, even for the preliminary process of visiting the consulate in the U.S. And that expediter is critical when completing the process here in Mexico. The immigration officials will not even talk to you unless your Spanish is practically perfect, and the expediter can save you days of wasted time and effort. In trying it yourself, you may think that you have everything you need, and then the expediter will glance at your documents and say, oh, look, your middle initial on your name is on your passport, but not on your bank statement. That'll immediately tell you that your paperwork won't qualify. And you'd never know that on your own without the expediter being there to correct you. Still curious? Here's the process. But keep in mind, this can change on a moment's notice, and this info may already be a bit outdated. Step 1, gather your documents now. You'll need your passport, proof of income or savings, like bank statements, pension letters, Social Security award letter. You'll need passport photos, a completed application form. All of this needs to be done to go into the consulate office. Now, step 2, schedule that appointment at the Mexican consulate in the U.S., keeping in mind the nearest one may never answer the phone or never be available. An expediter will be able to tell you the best consulate to approach. It may be at a different state. You'd never know that on your own. That's why the expediter is really important. Now, processing times can vary, so plan a minimum of 2 to 3 months before your planned move date. Step 3, I got to get 3 on my fingers. Attend the consulate appointment. Now, plan on at least 2 to 3 visits. It never seems to get completed in one visit, unfortunately. And then you pay your fee, and if approved, they'll issue a visa in your passport. Step 4, you're going to come to Mexico with that validity period that you have on that visa. It's going to be good for 30 days. Now, step 5 is within 30 days of entering Mexico, hopefully San Miguel, you'll visit the immigration office here to complete the process and receive your Residente card. Again, this is where having a local immigration expediter is genuinely valuable. They know the local office. They know what documents to bring. They are able to significantly reduce the chance of something going wrong and you waiting in the wrong line or having to come back 6 times. Hire an expediter. So, Tim, what are some of the most common mistakes that I see? Well, number 1 is waiting too long to apply. Consulate appointments can be booked weeks or months out. If you want to move in January, you ought to think about applying in at least October. The second one, underestimating the document requirements. Every document needs to be original or be officially certified with, like an apostille. Bank statements need to be recent. They can be old ones. Pension letters need to be on an official letterhead. As I mentioned above, names on all documents must match exactly. You got to have a middle initial. If it's on your passport, it's got to be on your bank statement too. Number 3, the third biggest mistake I see is not hiring a local expediter, like I've already said. And I say local because there are online companies that claim to assist you but don't have a presence in San Miguel. Now, a good immigration expediter in San Miguel might cost $500 to $1,500, but they'll save you enormous amounts of time and stress. And number 4, the fourth mistake, confusing tourism with residency. Do not stay in Mexico past the tourist limit that immigration gave you when you entered the country. If it only gave you 2 weeks, you got to leave in 2 weeks. Overstaying has consequences for future visa applications as well as fines that might have to be paid when you depart. Now, Tim, if you're at the point where you're thinking seriously about this move, or you've already decided and you need to start the residency process, I can connect you with trusted immigration expediters here in San Miguel de Allende who work with expats every day. Book a call with me through the link in the description. I'm Greg Gunner. Trust me, you'll need all the help you can get with this process. I'm here to help you get it.